You used to be meta, but you no longer have unlimited power. Let's look at these characters. Hey everybody, it's Nooch. I thought it'd be fun to go back and look at characters throughout history. Take a look at Nooch's roster. I'm always kind of noticing that I've got old characters on there that maybe I geared up to maybe 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe even got them relicked. Then they used to be part of the meta, or used to be really, really strong characters in some way, and now they're either afterthoughts, maybe completely useless, somebody thrown there every now and then, or maybe they only work if they're part of a team, and just kind of thought it'd be fun to go over that and talk about the history of the game, especially for you guys that, well, maybe for everybody, for people that have been playing forever and will remember this, and maybe for new players who have no idea that some of these characters that you're looking at were actually useful at some point of the game. So here's Nooch's roster. We flipped it upside down from the bottom up. So these are all new characters. No, there's no value here. There was at one point Tusken Shaman was used in the HAAT raid. I don't even know why. I never used him, so that's fine. Nobody in the next row. Cup, everybody loves to put Cup out there, right? But that's not part of any meta ever. These guys, Bodhi Rook, what a waste. Why is he even in the game? No, I don't see anything here necessarily. There were, Nooch's pal Dylar used to use Director Krennic in Arena, but I don't think anybody else did. That was around the Gear 12 time. Ahsoka, when she first came out, just the fact you couldn't put any debuffs on her was really effective, and she spent some time in some metas, but, not really super effective. Nobody here. This is really exciting so far. Okay, here we get to our first one. Luminara Unduli. Near the beginning of the game, she was one of the meta leaders in the evasion or dodge meta. If you look at her leader ability, I'm gonna get off the max here, but nobody would. Why would you put a Zeta on her? Holy cow, that's awful. Jedi allies gain 14% evasion and recover health equal to 6% of Luminara's max health at the start of each of their turns. Non-Jedi allies receive half of the evasion bonus and heal effect. It doesn't seem like much now, but man, back when all we had was like Gear 7 and 8 characters, it felt like she was evading and the team was evading like 30 or 40% of the time. It was crazy. You could not hit these guys and they would come and bash on you, and they're recovering health at the start of their turns, and all we had at the time was health. We didn't have protection, so this was a big deal. She was a big leader on the team. Her heal ability, where she heals the whole team, was really tough to overcome. She was part of one of the early metas, and there's some other characters that come in there with that evasion too, and we'll talk about that. So nobody else in this row, not Gar Saxon, no, although we're hoping he becomes useful here soon. There we go, Darcidius, another early meta lead. When you look at his lead, I can't remember if he's been reworked or not, but when you look at his lead, he recovers 20% of his max health whenever any unit is defeated. I think that was the rework. I'm not sure that was there at the beginning, but I honestly can't remember, because this meta, we're talking about like the first 6, maybe 9 months of the game that he was a meta leader. So it's been a long time. With a 25% chance to also gain 50% turn meter. This is his unique, and you're just looking at the wrong thing. 35, now this was a big deal. 35% evasion against Jedi attacks. You had a Jedi in that lineup, they could not hit this guy. He just evaded Jedi like Keanu Reeves and bullets. You could not hit this guy with Jedi. If we look at his leader, there we go. Click on the wrong button, but his leader ability. All allies gain 15% critical chance and 30% critical damage. Sith allies gain 2% offense until the end when they score critical. The main thing was all that critical chance and critical damage very early on was so important. Dealing physical damage to everyone. Damage over time. Exposing them. Maybe 2 additional damage over times. And then this. His basic gave healing immunity, and early on in the game, the first year of the game especially, health mate has made a comeback in the last 12 to 18 months. The first 12 months of the game, health was really important. In between that period, it was all about protection. Health didn't even matter anymore. Nobody cared about it. All you cared about was protection. But early on, when there was no protection, again, you put healing immunity on a character, and like you face a Luminara team. Use this guy. They can't hit him because they're all Jedi. And he's inflicting healing immunity, so her healing doesn't help. They're not healing. It was a really great early meta leader. Going through your no. Royal Guard was a good early tank in the game. I don't know if he was ever superb, but he was definitely a good tank very early in the game. Not these guys, right? No, not these guys, not these guys. Okay, Cody. Now, Cody was never part of the arena meta, but Cody at one point, and you see that NOOCH has a Zeta on Cody, and that Zeta is this. Clone allies recover 5% of their max protection whenever they use an ability, a basic ability. So, Cody, on his leader ability, call all clone allies and one random ally to assist. So every time they assisted, they were getting 50% or 5% protection back, and then they just kept firing and firing, and they keep refreshing their protection. And the way that you use Cody, you put him out there with the clones, and you would have Princess Leia in the lineup. She would stealth, and she'd give all of her crits to everybody. I think when he crits, he does some extra stuff too. No, not there. Maybe I'm not thinking right there. Okay, if this attack scores at least 2 critical hits, stun the primary. That didn't matter on the HAT. Regardless, you got this guy with the clones with Princess Leia. They could solo tier 4 of the HAT, and right now that doesn't seem like a big deal because everybody works to get gas, or you get Kylo or whatever, and you just bash out the whole HAT from beginning to end. But this was a team you could solo that tier 4 of the HAT with early on, and that was a big deal because you could walk out in the top 5 of that HAT raid just by putting one Zeta on Cody, and that honestly lasted probably a year. So that was a really effective Zeta for a long time. Now it's completely useless. This character is completely useless. There's a thing in Geo territory battles, but no thanks. Darth Maul. Darth Maul was actually the leader on a meta team for a while when there were Jedi out there. He gives some real problems to Jedi. Everybody gains evasion, 20% turn meter, blah, 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 blah. And there's something else in here. Darth Maul gains 20% max health whenever enemies defeated. So maybe not specifically against Jedi, but he was a good meta. Now, his ship, Darth Maul's ship was in the meta for Arena for a long time. When it came out, when you bring him on as a reinforcement, and which ability is it? No. Is this one? Yeah. So, target ally gains protection up, retribution for 2 turns. That's fine. You could put it on like a tank, right? If they're Sith, right? All other allies gain stealth for 2 turns. So, what he'd do is he would come in, and if I'm remembering it right, it's been a long time. I think he would target itself. He'd target himself, and everybody else would go stealth. And then you couldn't hit him, and you give yourself like an extra 1 or 2 turns from that because that's your so his ship was part of the meta for a pretty decent amount of time. I'm going to say the same thing for TIE Fighter Pilot. Now, TIE Fighter Pilot himself was actually part of the meta back with Palpatine when Palpatine first came out, and the reason is, I don't know if it's here. Yep, deal physical damage to target enemy, deal 35% more damage for each enemy suffering a debuff. And when you had Palpatine issuing debuffs, Vader putting debuffs, this is before a Vader rework, I think. Boy, it's been a long time. This attack, this basic, dealt a lot of damage. And not to mention, also, his TIE Strike inflict ability block on the primary target for 1 turn and buff immunity across the board. That stuff wasn't out there at the time. That was a big deal. This might have been before Palpatine, now that I'm saying it out loud, but that buff immunity and that ability block, those were big deals for this guy. So he was really good. And his ship, this TIE Fighter ship, where is this? Where is it? Is it here? Yes. Grant 25% turn meter to the allied capital ship whenever the ship evades an attack. It's doubled for Empire. So you're getting 50% turn meter to Empire capital ships, to Tarkin and Thrawn. And guys, this TIE Fighter used to evade a lot. Man, I've come back to that evasion a bunch. It was an early mechanic in the game that this TIE Fighter, it was like a 50% evade. So you were just pumping turn meter right into Tarkin and Thrawn. And you know that Tarkin and Thrawn are both completely about getting to their ultimate. or I don't know if you call it an ultimate, whatever. They're getting to that final ability with Tarkin, the swarm of TIE fighters. With Thrawn, you can eliminate a ship and restore everybody else's health and protection. And this guy, TIE fighter, you put him in there, he'd be evading, he'd get that turn meter up on your capital ship, and you get those abilities off sooner. So he was a big deal, and that ship was in the meta for a long time too. That ship combined with Darth Maul, the Scimitar, pretty good combination very early in the ship meta. Baze Malbus and Chirrut, we used to call him Chase back in the day. You don't really see him much anymore. They kind of get in there sometimes into some Mon Mothma squads and in Grand Arena, but they aren't as effective. But man, back in the day, these two, you put them on a CLS squad on defense in Arena, and that team was tough to beat. It was really difficult to get through Baze to even get to Chirrut. Chirrut's pretty flimsy, but he hits like a truck. He dispels debuffs. He gives everybody health up, or not health up, but hang on. Yeah, I mean, we're getting health up. He's gaining taunt and retribution. Whenever you defeat it, he falls below. I mean, just these guys, they were just really tough to mow through. What's he giving here? I can't even think of it. He's giving heal over time effect. You are racking up heal over times with these guys, and it was really difficult to kill Chirrut and Baze back when they were like G11, G12, the days when CLS first came out. So they were really, really good. Rey at the beginning with that triple strike was quite a force. She could just do a lot of damage, and getting her foresight when she'd do her double attack was a big deal at the beginning. Again, there's more evasion there at the beginning of the game. No, Tarkin in the Palpatine team, sort of all those debuffs really helped a lot. Darth Nihilus at one point was part of a team in Arena. He's still obviously very relevant, but he's part of a team in Arena where it was a GK lead with Barriss Offee and Darth Nihilus, and I can't remember who else you put in there. But basically all you were doing is stalling and letting him get off his Nihilate like 3-4 times and the game was over. That was a really fun meta, sort of. I don't know. Probe Droid was fun at the beginning. It's kind of faded over time. Stormtrooper Han. Actually, he was a pretty good character when he first came out. Mainly because of this. All other allies gain 20% turn meter when Han is damaged while his taunt is active. It used to be that he'd get out there, and before speed just became really a big thing, he would taunt, and guys would shoot him, and it takes forever to kill the guy, and he's giving 20% turn meter to the rest of the team every time he gets hit, and loading up that turn meter was a really big deal early on. It really made a big difference, and he was actually a very effective tank when he first came out. Savage Opress. We think of him very rarely in game right now, unless you're in a situation. NOOCH has used him like to eliminate enemy leaders when they're in the yellow. You bring in a secondary team, boom, gone. He kills them. But this special right here, there's a lot of people that have been playing this game for a long time have this Zeta. Gain heal over time when he's damaged, buff duration +1, plus 50% turn meter chance. Dispelled all debuffs from so whenever he was critically hit, he dispelled all of his debuffs. Every time he was damaged, he gained a heal over time. This guy, you could not kill him. You could not kill him. He doesn't do any damage, but man, you'd hit him. He just gained heal over time, until he had like 7, 8, 9 heals over time. You were never going to kill him because he'd get a turn and just heal everything right back up again. So this Zeta, you don't see it with new players, but with if you see this Zeta on somebody, you know they've probably been playing this game for a while. Of course, you can just look at the roster, right? That would tell you, too. Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn was the leader in NOOCH's first #1 squad arena team. NOOCH had Qui-Gon Jinn, and it was Qui-Gon Jinn, Grandmaster Yoda. They both had their Zetas. Qui-Gon's leader Zeta, Grandmaster Yoda with his give everybody foresight and tenacity Zeta. I can't remember who else he'd use in there. I think you might use GK, but it might have been before the HAT was out. I'm struggling. I'm struggling to remember who else you would have in that team. But those two, Qui-Gon giving this speed to everybody. 30 speed and offense equal to 3 times their speed. And gain foresight 2 turns at the start of each encounter whenever any unit is defeated. Guys, this was a meta team. R2 was in there. It was Qui-Gon, Yoda, R2. Maybe like 5s. I really don't remember. But I remember I saw that team at the top of Arena. And I thought, you know what? NOOCH can build that team. And NOOCH went and built that team and got to the top of Arena. And that was an exciting day. But we hardly ever use Qui-Gon anymore. You might use him in a mop-up team. And that's about it in Grand Arena. Right here, Zalbar and Mission. They're still used for some of you mid-tier players. But when they first came out, they were never in Arena. Never an Arena team. But they were huge in Territory Wars. the entire guild had to level up their Zalbar and Mission and Vandor Chewbacca. You'd put them out there with Kira, and I think you'd put another Scoundrel in there. I can't remember who the other Scoundrel, or maybe Nest. You might have Nest in there. And man, that team made a really solid wall that you really had to work to get through. So these guys together for a while were part of a really good Territory Wars team. I remember it was a requirement to level them up and get them modded properly. A lot of protection here, a lot of health here, just get her up for damage and speed. It was a requirement to do that. And again, another note, Barriss Offee, this Zeta 2, your old players will have this. It's still not a bad Zeta if you're in Grand Arena, but at the end of her turns, this is right here. Whenever an ally is critically hit, that ally recovers 20% health and Barriss gains 10% turn meter. When you had the General Kenobi meta, the General Kenobi lead, Barriss and Nihilus, and I have no idea who else was in it, I cannot remember. You could not kill General Kenobi. You could not get through General Kenobi. You had to use Nihilus to annihilate him because General Kenobi, we'll show it in a second. He brings a lot of defense for Jedi to the table and I think extra health. She makes it so every time he gets hit, he heals more than he got hit for. It kind of became a KRU mechanic later we used too, but this team was in Arena. And it was in Arena for a while and it was really tough to kill. And she's still used now, but she was used big time back then. Count Dooku was an very early arena leader. He's still used in Grand Arena on defense mostly, but you see here, where is it? It's the evasion. Separatist allies have 35% counter chance in game. That's not the leader. Did his leader go? I feel like this leader ability used to have evasion. It's been a while, and he was definitely reworked. So he had evasion, but just his stunning and the fact that if you fall below 100% turn meter, guys take, I think they get defense down, and whenever he falls below 100%, they inflict tenacity down and heal. Man, I don't remember exactly what was there at the beginning, but he was an early on, first 9 months, leader of the arena team, and I think there was some evasion built in there, but it's been a little while. Princess Leia mentioned she was used in the HAA team, was really effective there with the clones. For a while, Biggs was a part of, I don't know if it was a meta, can't remember exactly how it worked, but you had Wedge as a leader and Biggs in there, and you put some other rebels in, and man, they could just go off. So that was a team. Yeah, Wiggs. We called it Wiggs. You know, you don't hear a lot about Wiggs now. He goes with some Mon Mothma and stuff, but you had Wiggs out there. So you had Wedge lead and you had Biggs, and together when they first came out, they were one of the very first teams, I think maybe the first like duo that worked well with each other and fed off of each other for doing great things. And they were in Arena 4. It was a little while, but they were out there for sure. Nope, not any of these guys. First Order Officers kind of faded for a while. He was a character you get him sped up as fast as possible. He'd just feed off turn to whoever you wanted it to the beginning of the turn, and boom, you're off and running. First Order Executioner is, I think, the first character that had that health stack. Very first character, let's see, he gains 4 and 20% max health stacking until he defeats an enemy, and his damage gains 10% max health. He has bonus offense equal to 5% of his max health. So as he stacks health, he gains offense. And it was the first stacking character. And we were finding ways to use him early on. He was used in the HAAT as well to stack up and really do some damage. Before they gave that ability to Asajj, where she was stacking. Then Wampa came out and he was stacking. Now we see a lot more stacking out there. Kylo is the ultimate example of stacking. But I think he was the very first stacking character that came out and was used in HAAT for a while. The Night Sisters have kind of disappeared except for Grand Arena. They were in Arena for a while. They were in Squad Arena for a while. Night Sisters, really tough team to counter. No, here, Traya was definitely an Arena team, but she's still very, very useful in the game, so I wouldn't say she used to be meta. She's still part of some meta teams, especially meta counters. All right, not here. I think we're only going to have one more. The rest of these characters are really effective and have been for a long... Oh, there we go. Kylo Ren. I want to talk about this a little bit. Kylo Ren Zeta was one of the early ones that made a huge difference. This recovered protection equal to the damage dealt. You can see that NOOCH never... I don't have this Zeta. Everybody had this Zeta. If you see this Zeta, well, some new players do, but definitely back at the beginning of the game, everybody Zeta'd this thing. Because he would get this ability off. You'd have him almost dead. He'd get this ability off, and boom, he recovers almost all of his protection, and you just want to boom, boom, beat your head against the wall. It's just unbelievable. And you put him, well, really, he even would just do it on his own. You didn't, at the time, he didn't have Kylo Ren unmasked. This was the first movie. This was probably 2 years of just Kylo. He was a really awesome, unstoppable character very on with that Zeta and that was one of the first really, really good Zetas that came out. Trying to look through here. I like Wampa. He was never part of the meta, although NOOCH used him in Arena. Old Ben is in a lot of squads now. He was part of that original, again, evasion meta. That was, you know, the gains evasion very early on in the game. He came out like 1 month into the game and was very effective as a leader. And I think that's all we're going to get now. Let's look at that General Kenobi leader ability. They have 30% max health and 70% defense. You couldn't get through him, man. You could not. He would just get taunt, and then you just throw your head against the wall. It was quite a meta. That's really it, guys. There we go. You can see it down here. Wedge is the last one up here. NOOCH keeps Wedge right here. If you look, it's actually at the top of NOOCH's roster. Let's flip it back again. So here's Wedge at the top of NOOCH's roster. Why? Well, Wedge is number 80 on NOOCH's power list. So Wedge is at 21,183 power. That is the 80th character as far as most galactic power on NOOCH's team. So I know that if NOOCH levels a character up above that power, I'm going to be notching myself up in Grand Arena because it looks at your top 80 power to count for that. So that's why Wedge stays at the top, and I keep an eye on that power. I haven't leveled him up in a while. We're doing a lot of hoarding. We're using Jango and Boba to go out there and farm stuff for Gear 13 for next time. So that's it. There are a bunch of characters for you guys that used to be meta characters, and some of them have faded into nothingness. Some of them are only used in special situations. Some are used in Grand Arena, and maybe some will make a comeback someday. But that's all we got, guys. Thanks for watching, and always remember, NOOCH too good. Of course you enjoyed laying witness to this video. Subscribe here on Lord Vader. Watch another video over here. Remember, NOOCH too good.